Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in for a second. Um, Figured I'd talk a little bit today just because it is National Mental Health Day that nobody knew about except for the big organizations. And I found out about it way super late. So, happy Mental Health Awareness Day. And today is dedicated to mental health issues in the workplace. So I wrote in my blog today a little bit about how my favorite part about when you get your job, when you have a mental illness, is that one of the questions when you first fill out your onboarding or your startup paperwork is, do you have a disability? And every time that question comes up, I think to myself, there's no way in hell I'm putting down that I'm bipolar. They're going to rescind their offer to me. It's just, it's a fact of life. To my surroundings here, I'm actually working as well. I just wanted to make sure that I made this video before it got too late. Though they talk about how they can't then take back their offer. It doesn't matter because they can't discriminate against people with disabilities. Well, are they really going to come out and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not hiring you because you're bipolar? No, they're going to come up with something else, and that's how it works. And it shouldn't have to be that way, because for me, no, I don't need those kind of accommodations. I don't need extra sick days. I don't need pampering and somebody to come around and be like, good job, so you're doing great every 5 minutes. I don't need somebody to help me pee. What I need is to feel safe in my environment. The reason I go through jobs is because I end up feeling uncomfortable. And once that feeling of being uncomfortable happens, I want out, and I want out now. And so when I feel safe in a place, I don't want to leave, which is why a lot of times I don't like to leave my house. There has been periods in time in my life where I haven't left my house in days. Before I was diagnosed, there was 2 months that I did not leave the house. 2 months. I was pretty good at negotiating things so that I didn't have to leave. I didn't even go out the front door. All I did was let my dog out. That was it. I have had one boss in my lifetime. And unfortunately, I'm 36 years old. One boss that was able to make me feel safe. And I mean, really, if you could ask for somebody, you couldn't have asked for a better person to be in charge of somebody with bipolar. And we worked in a warehouse, shipping and receiving warehouse, and I was a shipping and receiving clerk. I never needed to tell him that I was bipolar or that I had a mood disorder. He knew. He had been a Marine for a long time. He's seen things that I could never even imagine in people with mental illnesses that I can't fathom. But the joke on our end of the dock, because I had to deal with all the truck drivers that came in from all sorts of places across the country, sometimes from out of the country, was that if I had somebody who was being a jerk, which happened almost on a daily basis, then the guys on my end of the dock would go ahead and just handle it because I shouldn't have to put up with it. But if they were being a real jerk, I was calling our logistics manager in, and I didn't want to be that truck driver. I knew that he would be there for me. He had my back. And that was the best reassurance that I could ever ask for. I knew that if I needed somebody to go to bat for me, he'd do it. And those are the kind of things that we need. And honestly, doesn't everybody? Wouldn't you much rather work for somebody who has your back and then work for somebody who is yelling at you because you eat at your desk, or is nitpicky because, I don't know, you didn't take your trash out or something stupid. But we can't, and we don't, and we do our best to hide our disorders. We talk about the bitch face. I have a bitch face. I have a great one. I actually have it down pat. It started in my 20s. I learned it living in different areas across the country with my first husband. He was in the Navy. But the thing was is that I didn't know that I had a bitch face. I was terrified. I would walk through the mall and I was just terrified of everybody. I thought they were looking at me, judging me, seeing me. I wanted to melt into a corner somewhere, cover up, escape, run away, do whatever. Years later, in my later 20s, I started working for a new company, and I met a guy who apparently had also worked at the mall where I had worked at previously, one of my many jobs. And when we met, he said, you know, you're really nice. I just never talked to you when we both worked at the mall because you look like such a bitch all the time. And I thought, really? Like, So now I do my best to smile at people, and it scares me. It scares me to death. I can't hardly... I can't even express to you how much it scares me. When I first moved to Appleton, I was invited to go out with a bunch of our coworkers to go to a bar after work one night. Went out with them. I got there and I was so nervous that when everybody ordered a shot, including me, I almost spilled the entire shot all over the place. I couldn't hardly take it. In my early 20s, I was a borderline alcoholic because of it. I hated being around people. But once I started to drink, that anxiety started to go away. That bitch face, quote unquote, and I apologize to anybody who was offended with my cursing. But I would drink, and finally I was relieved. There was definitely a darn good chance that I was going to make a jerk on myself that night, but I would do anything to relieve that anxiety. And it might have only been for a couple of hours, but I would take it in a heartbeat. And nope, one drink started to feel better, so 10 more, definitely going to feel better. Also probably going to pee in a bush on my way home, but whatever. You got to do what you got to do. It's better than peeing your pants. Oh, being young again. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back today because I work for myself. So I think I do a good job of treating myself and accommodating myself to my mental illness. And I hope that wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, that you are also treating yourself well and that you are getting the accommodations that you need. If you're not, come Friday, and every Friday until May of 2018, I'm going to start walking. Maybe it won't be very long. I do live in Wisconsin, so it's going to be negative 80 in January. But I'm going to walk because there's people who can't get out of bed. There's people who can't get out of their house. There's people that are locked up in psychiatric units, and they can't get stabilized. There are people out there that are in pain. And I'm going to be walking. I'm going to wear the colors for mental illness, which are blue, gray, silver, or green. And I'm going to think and I'm going to pray for them. Because there's a chance that my meds one day are going to need to be adjusted again. And I'm going to not be able to get out of the house, or I'm not going to be able to get out of my bed. And help is limited in this country, and that's got to change. So hopefully before that happens to me, somebody will have finally heard us. If you want to join me, awesome. I know a few people on the West Coast are already planning to join me as well. So I hope that you guys do too. All right. Talk to you later.